father, there would be a flashing of the light, and then I guess the boy ran like he never could, because he knew what that meant. He knew the strength behind the love in this family. And this is how she was: a lot of love and a lot of strength. She was a real people person. She loved her Ort socials. She loved the knitting, and she loved the being together with different people. She loved her scarves and making things and socializing whenever she could. She enjoyed her work at the May Company. She enjoyed working in Dad's grocery store, and the jewelry stores, everything. But the main thing for her wasn't just the doing, it was really the people. She really had a beautiful relationship with her kids and her grandkids and her family members, which was really, really so beautiful. For one, Linda, her daughter, just by talking to Linda, she knows everything about her mother. Any question, and she really seemed to understand her, and really, really had a great respect and love and pride for her mom. And Paul as well, even though it's not always easy for a father, a mother-son relationship, they do different things, but they really had a special relationship. And every time he would take her shopping, and he knew that she wanted to buy bananas. And she didn't want just one banana, she didn't want 2 bananas, she always wanted 3 bananas. And Paul knew that you don't ask a question, you don't ask her why not 4, why not 2, but he would always take a picture of her in the store. And he would say, that's my mom, that's just how she is, And another funny thing about her, her and Paul had a like for old stuff. And they saw a value in old stuff that sometimes other people did not necessarily see. And so I understand that they would serve as a vendor at the IX Center, and they would have a gathering of older things, Bob's Big Boy signs from the 50s. And to her it was gold. Every piece was worth way more than the price tag. And she was an excellent saleswoman, and it was quite a team, Paul and Mom, selling these very, very priceless goods at the IX Center. And besides, the fortune that she had was not only did she have good kids, but she also inherited very beautiful, a son-in-law and a daughter-in-law. And Bob was the working man the last few years, so he probably needs a vacation, but he'll never say that. But he was the one responsible for the makeup and the jewelry and making sure that she was truly happy all the time. He said on an average day it was 10 or 15 times that he would help her from one place to another, and he never complained. He never tired. And I know Betty also. You really had a good relationship with her, and you really loved her, and she could see what beautiful care you took care of her son Paul. What was funny, a story that I heard, was that how you can love your children, but you don't expect them to be all the same. That they can do things totally differently, but you appreciate each and everything that they did as their own unique expressions of who they are. So it was their 50th wedding anniversary, I believe, and that Linda had set up a big party, and she had it all worked out that Linda would create the scene by having a harpist. The harpist would play it, it would be really tranquil, it would be really beautiful, and that's just like what Mom would like. But Paul had a slightly different idea. Paul had the idea that you need to have Elvis at such a party. What's a 50th anniversary party without Elvis and his blue suede shoes? So Elvis came in the middle of the harpist. And so in many families it would be a disaster. It would be like, oil and water coming together. But in her perspective, these were her 2 kids doing totally different things, but very beautiful things, and she appreciated them all together. And this is what she loved the most. And her toughness never stopped. Her tenacity, her never giving up on life, went all the way to the end. She somehow never got sick. She rarely ever had to go to the hospital until the very end. But it's kind of funny, she was really tough, but she'd always be saying, "Oi, Gewalt." Usually people as tough as she does don't have to use those words, but whatever. She meant it in a different way. She would say, "Oi, Gewalt," and she would say, "Drink water." So, just reminding you guys today, it's a hot day, so she would want you to make sure you drink a lot of water. So, don't forget about that. But one of the things that she was very firm about was Grosvenor. Grosvenor was her house, was her street, and she would not leave that place. And I heard a lot of stories from the family that even when the going was a little bit tough, she would not get going from Grosvenor. And they managed to get her in the house somehow, but she still said, "I want to go home. I want to go home. I want to go home to Grosvenor." But eventually, when she was not there, she wanted to go home, and home was really the home of her daughter and her son-in-law. A funny story that maybe everyone knows, except for me, about Grosvenor, is that she was in her home for 70 years. And a few years ago, there was somebody who had the chutzpah to tell her that she didn't belong there in that house. It just so happened to be a guy with a gun and a mask. And he came over to her, and he grabbed her purse. And what did she do? Like a good mother, she did not give it to him. She fought him to the very end, and she would not let go of that purse. So finally the purse dropped, and the stuff spilled all over, and he grabbed her wallet, and she ran off. And if that wasn't enough toughness, there's more that came after that, as you probably know. At 90 years old, she took the stand, and she stood up to him, and she told him what a jerk, what a bully, what it was that he had done to her. She was not going to give up. She was not going to refuse to press charges in such a situation. And I guess when she explained her reaction, it wasn't so much that she was scared. It wasn't fear that directed her response. It was sheer mad. She was just upset and angry. You can't do this to a lady who wants to stay in her house on Grosvenor. So what? She's 90 years old. You're not going to mess with me. And that was her toughness. But again, her toughness was beautifully, prepared with a lot of kindness and love. And she gave a lot of kindness and love to her grandchildren, and thank goodness grandchildren. And she was obviously terribly proud to have this growing, beautiful family all around her. And so we wanted to make sure we mention, these guys because they were so precious to her. So her grandkids, Gregory and Julie, Robin, Daniel, and Kathy, and her great-grandkids, Alex, Calvin, Grace, Dominic, Ben, and Evan. So there's a lot more stories to tell, and I'm sure a lot of the really good stories we can't tell here, and that'll be something you'll have to speak to Linda and Paul about. There's no shortage of stories. But I think the main takeaway that we have is that we live in tough times, with this pandemic and all the changes in our life. We really need toughness, we need strength, we need courage. And she's really there for that. I think she'll always be a beacon to us. She'll always show us what it means to not give up and not to give in whatsoever. But she also will always show us that not only do you have to be tough, but you can be loving and kind and caring. And they are not mutually contradictory. They're not mutually exclusive. You can be a truly loving person, but you can also be tough, and you can also be firm at the very same time. So we say thanks to her. We appreciate all that she did for us, all of her self-sacrifices, and we pledged her that we'll really learn from her. We'll really try to be more like her. And we also have her family in mind, our prayers and our sympathies for her family. And indeed, it's a difficult loss. You say losing a person after 90 years old, it's not so difficult, it was kind of supposed to happen. But she was a person that seemed like she would live forever. We didn't expect that she would go away so quickly, we would lose her so quickly. And indeed, it's a very difficult loss. And so our prayers and our thoughts are with her children and her grandchildren, and her friends and family. So we all pray together that her memory should be for a blessing, and that she should really, really know how much we love her. And she sees all our faces, she sees all the people here, and again, it gives her tremendous peace and happiness and pride. So now we move on to from the part of the service about sharing her virtues and talking to her soul, to the part of the service which is a true service, a service of our physical abilities. What we're going to do now is we're going to lower the casket, and in the Jewish tradition, it's particularly important to be involved in the burial service, that with our own hands, our own shovels, we put the earth in, and that we surround her with the earth as an extension of our own love and efforts towards her. So we're going to remain standing, and we're going to go ahead and lower the casket at this time. to ask the family to take a small amount of earth and place it in. Then after that, maybe what we'll do is we'll make, you know, 1 or 2 lines. Maybe we'll make a line right over here, and then folks can put in a small amount of earth, you know, per the tradition. And once everyone's had a chance to do that, then we'll go back to our places and we will finish the rest of the service. Would like to, it doesn't have to be family, go ahead and here. Make it over there.
Yeah, see? And then they put that on top.
I thought it was all covered. It just covers the deep enough to the bottom.
Yeah, it's covered. The vault's not a hole.
Is the vault on the ground too? Or just the side?
It's hard to find the right words at this time, at a difficult time in the service. I wanted to share with you a writing that someone put together, a person whose life was very short, and they wanted to leave some words of strength for their family. I guess they too thought that the family would need these words when they would leave this world. And I can only help but think, that Elaine would say the same thing to us. if we asked her now what we should do and what we should think. It's called To Those I Love and To Those Who Love Me. When I am gone, release me, let me go. I have so many things to see and to do. You mustn't tie yourself to me with tears. Be happy that we had precious years. I gave you my love, you can only guess how much you gave to me in happiness. I thank you for the love you each have shown, but now it's time I traveled on alone. So grieve a while for me, if grieve you must, then let your grief be comforted by trust. It's only for a while that we must part, so bless the memories within your heart. I won't be far away, for life goes on, so if you need me, call, and I will come. Though you can't see or touch me, I'll be near, all of my love around you, soft and clear. And when you must come this way alone, I will greet you with a smile and say, welcome home. We're going to close the service with the recitation of the memorial prayer. And after the memorial prayer, the first mitzvah that the family has as mourners is the recitation of the Kaddish. And the Kaddish is a very special prayer. And it's not even so much a prayer, but it's just a statement of trust and belief in God, even in the toughest of times. The fact that we can be here at the cemetery and have lost a great person, but still say to God that we appreciate you and we thank you and we believe in you, is a difficult level, a level we may not be on, but we try to be there in the recitation of the Kaddish. So we'll recite the Kaddish, all together, and then after that, there's a custom that we make what's called a shura. We make a row of consolation, and it allows the mourners to leave the cemetery first, and allows us to wish them our blessing and our good wishes on their way out. So at this time, we're going to say the memorial prayer. El Mali Rachamim, Sheichein Bamrumim, Hamsei Menucha Nechoina, Al Kanfei Hashchina, B'malos Kedoshim Utaharim, Gazarakia Mazhirim, Es Nishmas, Elaine Perelman, Shahalacha Lama, Bavor Shanachnu Mispale Bahazkras Nishmasa, Began Eden Tehet Menuchasa, Lachain Bal Harachamim, Yastirecha Besisa Kanafav Leolamim, Beyitzur Besarachayim Es Nishmaso, Adinai Hu Nachlaso, Besanoach HaMishkavo B'Shalom, B'Nomar Amen. O God, full of mercy, who dwells on high, grant proper rest on the wings of the divine presence, in the lofty levels of the holy and the pure ones who shine like the glow of the firmament. For the soul of our most beloved, Elaine Perelman, who has gone into her world and for whom we pray. May her resting place be in the Garden of Eden, and may the Master of Mercy shelter her in the shelter of his wings for all eternity, and may he bind her soul in the bonds of life. God is her heritage, and may she repose in peace on her resting place. And we say together, Amen. Shalom before they do so, we're going to try to make 2 rows made up of the people who are not the mourners. So, Michael, in that direction, going out?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe what we'll do is you guys will just go past the hearse, maybe about 10 feet, and make 2 rows of people, like facing each other, about 10 feet apart. And the idea is that you guys will face each other making 2 rows, and make a nice walkway so the family can walk through you. And as they walk past you, you say the customary, may the omnipresent comfort you, or you can just say in your own words, may God bless you, or may you guys be okay. So the mourners are going to stay right here, and everyone's just going to go ahead and move in that direction and create the 2 lines over there.
This time I know to look, and I kept seeing it disconnect, and I kept reconnecting, and it wouldn't stay.
My daughter's wedding yesterday with my wedding, my phone overheated.
No,
You didn't get nothing.
no, this wasn't overheat. It just, I was watching it go from no bars to 1 bar to 2 bars, and back down to, it just, it wouldn't stay.
Power lines right there.
I think it's more about the tree. I bet the tower's over that way somewhere, and we're in the shadow. There, a few minutes at the beginning, on and off, because they would stop by start, and stop by start, restart for 3 times. So I apologize, but I'm going to go post everything.
Okay, guys.